back in your life, like the 2015 Warriors, watching every meaningful player they play against get hurt except for LeBron James. This is the Educated Ignorance Podcast on the For Frequency Sake Podcast Network. I want to be a hater and say tonight we finally got a champion that can look the 2015 Warriors in the eyes as illegitimate, or the 2018 Warriors in the eyes as illegitimate. But that would be being a hater because that's not the truth. But the Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA champions. Unfortunately, in a game that probably the worst possible outcome could have, like, if you woke up today and said what's the worst like possible outcome to happen, it would have been something like Halliburton getting hurt and the Pacers losing like a semi blowout. And then the second worst thing would have been, or tied for that, would have been Shea getting hurt and the Thunder losing in a semi uncompetitive blowout game. And unfortunately, one of those things happened. Regardless, we're going to be here to talk about everything that happened in the NBA championship game tonight. The Thunder won a title. Shea was impressive. Chet Holmgren was superb in the second half. Jalen Williams sucked for 2 hours and then hit a couple jump shots. And people will go, look, this game will be lost in history on how bad he was, while Doris Burke was fawning, saying his wrist was hurt for the first 36 minutes. All in all, though, the Thunder are champs, and I'm joined by my friend from Gotham Gambling. This is the Educated Ignorance Podcast, presented by Bryant Bill, Keller Williams. You know all the rest. Danny, how's it going? I'm sad.
I am happy.
I know. I have a good friend.
If we're going to talk about Jalen Williams, you're going to compare the 2015 Warriors. Let's not forget Clay in 2015 Game 6, when they won it, was 3 for 14 with a foul out in 18 minutes.
He was horrendous.
So at least Jalen came up clutch when the Pacers were making a run.
Yeah, he hit a couple threes, yeah.
I thought it was great. If you listen to the post-game trophy presentation, where Presti and Dagnall talked about this team sacrifices their individuality to win the chip. I think that was on full display here. We saw Cason Wallace go from starting to a bench role and came out with 3 steals in 10 minutes in the first half. We saw Caruso dominate. We saw Chet, who kind of at times looked out of place, come in big when needed. Shea's shot wasn't falling, and he recorded a career high playoff assist with 12. I mean, I'm a Thunder fan, so my bias will always be there. But this is one of the most deserved titles in the last few years. I truly think that there is not another city or that deserved a title than Oklahoma City, from being such big fans of the New Orleans Hornets in 2005 that it made them want to bring a team to Oklahoma City, all the way to when they sucked after 10 plus years of being one of the best teams in the league and they still sold out every single game. And the fans, we had to watch a lineup where Dennis Schroeder was playing the 3. We deserved this as well. We had to watch Pokashevsky and Isaiah Roby.
Hey, don't
We
hit on Isaiah
deserved
Roby.
this.
Hey, man, Isaiah Roby, Dixon, Illinois legend, bro.
Listen, I paid my good, hard-earned American dollars to go watch a game where the starting lineup had Dennis Schroeder at small forward and Al Horford at center. I deserve this championship.
Listen, man. Listen. I'm happy for this team. They were great. They deserved it. It's just such a sour taste that this is what happened. I was so excited for the last 72 hours. All I could think about was, or whatever, however fucking long it was, all I could think about was there's literally been 20 of these ever. And for it to go up in smoke 8 minutes in with the best player on one of the teams, Achilles, snapping like a guitar string at a Led Zeppelin concert, it just sucked. So
It's
shame me
especially
for being sour.
the hot streak he was starting on.
He hit 3-3. Bro, he was gonna go crazy. Like even if they would have won or lost, like he was going
He was gonna have a 30 ball.
he was
Easily.
going nuts. And then God, they're up 4 and he blows his Achilles out and they lose. It's tough, man.
Well, and I think you clearly saw what what value besides his scoring and his pass like that he brought to the team. This was the most turnovers in a game uh the Pacers have had since the last time he missed a game. And it was like over 20.
Yeah, that's the thing. The third quarter of that game, because the Pacers go up 1 at the end of the half after just some trying to remember. There were a couple things that happened at the end of the first half that like insanely pissed me off where I was like screaming in my group chats, ball don't lie, when Nembhard eye hold Chet on a 3. Um I don't remember what it was that exactly happened, but there was something that was pretty egregious. Um and oh yeah, it was Lou Dort flopping on that Ben Matherin when
Oh
Matherin was
yeah.
walking up the floor and Lou Dort walked into him and turned into a looking like he got hit by a shotgun from point blank range. Um, and the Pacers go up 1, but the third quarter is going to come back to bite them because Oklahoma City was dying to kind of play tight and piss down their leg in the end of the game. But the fact that they were instead of with 4 minutes to go, instead of it being a 2-point game, it was a 12-point game. Like Oklahoma City just had too much of a gap to where Indiana couldn't come back. If Indiana could have, I think if Indiana could have held, I mean, the third quarter is what lost in the game. If they could have held on to the rope just inches more, then, you know, that would have
Well,
been huge.
it wasn't even just the turnovers. I mean, it was TJ McConnell versus 9 Oklahoma City Thunder players out there.
Felt that way.
I
And
mean, your
Miles
backup
Turner,
point guard puts up 8, like 4 and 3 in the start for the third quarter, arguably probably the biggest quarter in your franchise's entire history, and no one else can hit a shot. And you're playing the best third quarter team in the NBA over the last 3 seasons.
and the problem there too in that stretch, Miles Turner being as bad as I said in the group, I said in multiple places, Miles Turner, like the fact that at one point, the fact that the Pacers were leading the game at halftime of Game 7 in the same game where Tyrese Halliburton got hurt 8 minutes in. And it was in that's not just that, but the entire series leading up to that point. Like that's where the Pacers were. All of that happening, plus the fact that Miles Turner was abhorrently a disaster in every game outside of about two or
Outside of game
three
4, I think, yeah.
outside of a couple small stretches, like the closing stretch of Game 3 and a couple moments in Game 6. Outside of that, the entire series he was terrible. But Miles Turner being that bad finally bit them in the ass because Carlisle goes to 4 minutes of the no Siakam on the floor. So then it's Nembhard and McConnell, but then also out Nembhard was out as well. So it's McConnell and Matherin had a solid game, but didn't really get going until the fourth. But the problem is that Obi Toppin and Tim Bradley or whatever the hell his name is, I don't even know.
Chicago Bulls legend Tony Bradley.
Tony Bradley and Toppin are out there, and Rick Carlisle played them for like 5 straight minutes, and it was just a disaster. They weren't boxing out. Nobody could. Anytime they would touch the ball, they would get swarmed. This was Obi Toppin by far his worst game of the series. He was abysmal tonight. And then those two guys were so bad, with the addition of Turner being so bad that he had to go to Thomas Bryant, who ends up shooting a 3 and missing
he hasn't
it.
played in what, like
He hasn't
50
played
games?
since Game 4. He hasn't played since Game 4. So yeah, just a disaster. And Pascal got shut down in the second half. He didn't play much at all in the third. And yeah, Indiana missed an opportunity. it would have been one of the if Indiana would have won the game tonight, it would have been one of the greatest victories in the history of sports. And for a while there, I thought that when they tied it at 56 in the third, I thought, okay, they might pull this off. And then the Thunder went on a run,
And then, I mean,
and the rest is history.
you got to look at the other end on this too, as how often do we see a team who was so dominant in the regular season that you could not find a legitimate flaw in their game to the point, and then you get to the playoffs. First round, they destroy Memphis every game. Second round, every time they got punched, they came back and beat the Nuggets by like 50. And then, game 3 in the conference finals was the statement game for Minnesota, saying that you're gonna
Game
have to
four,
beat us at
oh
our
yeah,
home.
yeah, and then game
And then
4.
they torched them in game 5. I
Yeah, and
mean, like
the
know
two
me, I
game
will.
fours, the 3 game fours in game 4 against Denver, game 4 against uh Minnesota, and game 4 against Indiana. Those are the 3 games that I will admire the most about this Oklahoma City run. Is in game 4 against Denver, nobody had it. Jalen Williams was lost. And Shea, Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Caruso, those guys had to hit some shots, and Shea carried them, and their defense was incredible down the stretch. Game 4 against Minnesota was the grade A tonight as well, you could argue, because of how good Chet was. But that game 4 against Minnesota is the poster child of this is why you never break the trio up, because all 3 of them were incredible. Shea had 40. J-Dub had like 35 or something, and Chet had 20 something. All 3 were great. And then game 4 against the Pacers, I wanted to say at one point, I don't know if I said it after game 6, but I probably didn't, because I felt like it was just well known, like because the series ended up going 7, game 1 and game 4 all of a sudden become a wash, right? Like those are games where you could say, like right now, you could say the easiest thing to say if you're like, not, I don't know if it's not anti-Pacers, but it's like, okay, well, Halliburton got hurt tonight and he's going to be out all of next year. How do you avoid that? Well, you avoid that if you don't absolutely gag in game 4, which is what they did. But also, Shea was incredible down the stretch of that game. They were like them finding a way. It's exactly what I was wanting. I wanted them to be down 2-1 and have to find a way to win on the road. It's the question. It's what I wanted to see that them take, and they absolutely passed that test. But my bounce back to anybody saying like, well, Indiana wouldn't have been in this position for that. Well, also the Thunder absolutely. I don't know if they gagged game 1, but Indiana just walked them down. So both of those games results should have been flipped.
It wasn't a gag. It was just like I think the best way to put it, it was just a moment of stupidness was the best way to put it. I mean, but the one thing this whole season, this entire Thunder team has done is I just lost us the game. I'm gonna go out and give you 40 the next game. I mean, think about it, there. Yeah, I mean, think about it. There was not just the entire season. I mean, you saw I think to win, you remember that like 4-game stretch where they had to play the Nuggets twice, the Celtics, and the Cavs. And game 1, or game 2 against the Nuggets, Shea was awful, Chet was awful. They go play the Celtics, they beat them by 20 in Boston. I mean, they didn't lose consecutive games this entire playoff series.
No, they did not. No.
And think about every team that lost game 1 on their home floor. How badly those series fell apart. How bad the Knicks fell apart. How bad Milwaukee fell apart. I'm
Milwaukee
obviously
was
naming.
on the road.
No, I'm talking about when they played their first game at home.
Well, Milwaukee won their first home game in the playoffs. Gary Trent had 37.
That's right. Yeah, I'm thinking wrong. But
I get what you're saying though.
The big thing with this Pacers run was you punch them in the mouth at, on their home floor, and you force them to try to recover. And they did that with the Thunder. Because tell me how that wasn't similar to the Knicks series. Game one, they're feeling good. Halliburton makes some crazy play, and that definitely single handedly killed the Knicks season. And
Yeah,
now,
because if they don't lose that game, they're up 3-2 going into game 6 instead of down 3-2.
exactly. And
Which is why, real quick, which is why when people like try to tell me this whole summer so far, like the last couple weeks, when people have been basically just apparently like, how many times am I going to say abhorrently or apparently this in the today? But they just like completely count the Knicks out for next year. I'm like, guys, you realize the East sucks and that they are going to. I know I know the whole coaching thing's been a fiasco, but you guys realize they could have easily. I don't think they would have hung like Indiana did at all. I think Indiana was definitely better. I think Indiana, the right team, won. But people, sorry, I just needed to get that off my chest.
yeah.
People are
No, it's
incredibly
I get sick
discounting
of
the
it
Knicks
too.
for next
Like
year.
as soon as the Knicks lost in the playoffs, everything on ESPN, CBS Sports was okay. How are the Knicks going to move Mikhail Bridges? How are they going to move Cat? And it's like, why? This was their best season in like 10 plus years. This is the first time they made it past the second round since 2000. And you have all of these guys locked up for at least 2 more years before you have to make these decisions. Like if this was Mikhail Bridges last year on his deal, then I would say, okay, yeah, find a way to maybe move him and get a similar piece for a longer time. But there's no reason to break up that core 7, 8 players you have that are all under contract and none of them want to leave.
Yeah, exactly. Um, what will what tonight? I hope. Well, I mean, we all know what it will get. I don't even know if I should say I hope, but one of the things that I think will go, I don't think we'll get lost to history, but to be positive, this Shea game was pretty spectacular. I don't care that he shot 8 for 27. I thought he was amazing because they were tight, like capital TITE tight in the first half. Even when they got outscored after the Halliburton injury. Like Halliburton goes down, and the Thunder all of a sudden they had like one little moment where it's like, oh, okay, and the Pacers kept answering. It's like they thought the game was over. They thought the Pacers were done, and then but Shea kept making plays, and his playmaking tonight was sensational. He kept them above water tonight when in the first half they were very, very, very not ready. I don't think. Um, So I think because of all the other stuff, I think this Shea game will be lost to. I think this Shea game will get lost to history, but I think his overall season will not. But I just wanted to mention this game in itself because I thought he was really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, and you know how NBA discourse goes. Oh well, they only won this because Halliburton got hurt. Oh, he went to the free throw line on us. Like that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they were down, had to fight back, and it's just more of discrediting how good this Pacers team actually is. That your first argument isn't just wow, the Pacers are so good they lost their star player and they hung in there till the fourth quarter. It's oh well, the Thunder wouldn't have done this. Like it, this Pacers team next year is still a playoff team. I think that's what people aren't realizing yet. Is even if Halliburton is out all year, this is still a playoff caliber team.
Sorry. Yeah. It's just a swing of a game. It's like it's the thing that I do hate when like Oklahoma. There are two things are true. The Oklahoma City Thunder get the most annoying generational whistle ever for a team that before this year had like no cred, but also people calling Shea a foul merchant is stupid. Like his bag is insane and his skill set is insane, and
And it's so
he's
funny
gone
because
from like not a throw in a trade, but this just unique prospect that I didn't really know what his like floor was. To he's legitimately the second best player in the league, and the gap now it's Jokic, Gap, Shea, and then there's a gap between him and the rest of the pack.
It's
Like
so funny
Giannis and Luca
that
are there, but Shea has gapped those guys right now.
but Shea has a chip, and that's the thing that puts him above Luca.
Absolutely, yeah,
And I think Giannis is
absolutely,
just he's had a little bit too many like the injury issues. I think the
yeah.
loyalties kind of hurt him a little bit, even though it was like, it's how he's always been his career. But no, it's funny to me that like everything you see from like announcers and people who have been out of the game for like 10, 15 years, or he's a free throw merchant, all he does is flop. And then it's like every player that's actually in the league that's an elite level scorer is like, no, this dude is one of the greatest scorers in NBA.
No, yeah. The again, like I said, two things can be true. The Thunder, the whistle that they get is incredibly annoying, and the calling Shea a foul merchant is just bad. Like you just don't get ball. Um, the stuff that's annoying is watching letting Caruso and Dort get away with like first degree manslaughter or whatever, and then Shea getting the fouls he does. That's what's annoying. But outside of that, it is what it
Listen,
is.
it's the NBA. They it's the same thing with baseball, it's the same thing with NFL. There's always motives. There's they've refs have said it before in that I don't know if you've seen that documentary about Tim Donaghy. Refs have been open about like former refs have been open about they'll say, oh, give this guy a little bit of a whistle. We want to see this go to six. We want to see this go to seven. So you need to make sure these guys get the whistle. Like that's been a part of the league for years. It's and I'm sure in the next 2-3 years, some kid's gonna come out of college. It's just a pure scorer, gonna know exactly where to be to draw the contact, get the foul, and then we're gonna be making claims about, oh, this guy's shooting 10 free throws a game. Oh, he's a foul merchant. This is what the league's turned into. And it's always the people who don't actually watch the games, and unless it's the ESPN primetime games that talk like that.
Yeah, I agree. What
Like,
is the
because if
thing?
you if
Go
you
ahead.
watch, I watched all 82 Thunder games this year. It was There was a lot of stuff that could have been let go, but at the same time, my theory is this: because I think we can all agree the mid range is a lost art now in the league, right?
The mid range, yes, agreed.
So because this league, all it knows on defense is drop to the paint and be physical, or guard on the 3-point line. So these guys who would get to the mid range and are drawing all these fouls, like Shea, like Brunson, like I think Jalen Green did a lot of it this year, even though he shot like crazy from three. But they get these whistles because guys are so used to dropping down and waiting for the layup and the contact, they have to stop, realize, oh shit, now I have to guard you in the mid range, reach out, foul.
You mean the ace return asset in the Kevin Durant trade,
Yeah.
version 5, Jalen Green?
hmm
The Suns got
I
listen.
listen. We talked about like people been bitching about what the Magic gave up for Bane, but it is still crazy that Luca and Kevin Durant went for less combined first round picks.
Yeah. It's you actually it just when you read it that way, it's
I
yes,
would have
it's
if
funny.
I'm
The
if
context, if you look into it,
I wouldn't have mind all the second rounders if it was like 3 or 4 and you gave them like a lotto protected like first rounder in like 2029,
for
something
Houston.
like that. Yeah, if Houston gave him something like that,
So
like
you think
something like
90 seconds or less, you think Houston lost the trade?
no, that's
Okay,
not what I'm
okay,
saying. That's not what
okay.
I'm saying. I think Phoenix is stupid
Oh
and is
yeah,
just
Phoenix
so
got
desperate.
murdered.
Phoenix is just so like I think Jalen Green and Devin Booker is going to be a really good 1-2 combination because you could easily mix and match their minutes because Jalen Green thrives when the other primary ball handler is not on the floor. Um, and it gives you a little bit of a future once Dylan Brooks and Bradley Beal are off your books. And if your team's not doing good, it gives you a good trade piece in Dylan Brooks because everyone's going to want a defensive player that's on the last year of his contract. Um, but my thing is, if I'm Phoenix and you're trying to put some kind of fast retooling rebuild around Devin Booker before Devin Booker's contract up and he says, screw it, I'm going to go elsewhere, I would have been out. I would have asked for at least a lottery protected first, along with this year's. I wouldn't have asked for 5 second rounders because Houston's going to be a top 5 team for the next 5 years. So all these second rounders are going to be like the 55th and 58th pick. So you're picking up like these dudes who are going to play in the G League the rest of their career, or dudes who are you have rights to but are playing in Spain for the next 8 years. When I'm sure if you had said 3 second rounders, this year's first, and a 2028 lottery pick, protected pick, Houston would have said yes right away because they're not going to be in the lottery in the next 2 years.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder how. I want to know what the negotiation was like.
But looking at that Houston team, that is going to be one of the tallest, most physical, athletic teams I've ever seen in my life. And when Fred Van Vliet's contract
They're
is
the
off that book, they're going to be even scarier because Reed Shepard is probably going to get some good minutes this year.
Yeah, I don't know. Their window's very interesting. It's not maybe not their window. They're like a different. They're like the most. A lot you hear a lot in the NBA about like timelines and two timelines. They are the most two timelines team in the league because you got
I
like
think
Şengün and the Terror Twins, and then you have Durant and Van Vliet.
I think they're I truly think even with my Thunder, even with the way the Celtics are, even with some like the Spurs are, I truly think Houston is the most set up team to be the next like okay, for the next 10 years this is going to be one of the conference finals teams every year.
I
Because when
just
you
think we
look
can't do that anymore. We can't do that anymore in the NBA. And that was the thing. Like, oh man, I had
well
I
hear
listen.
me out.
I have
Hear
here.
me out.
Let's. I need to shift gears real quick because it like we. I just it leads to a point. Not that I wasn't going to bring this up until now because I kind of forgot about it because I've been depressed for the last 3 hours ever since Tyrese Halliburton died. Basically, uh, I thought all day about the rant I was going to come on here, and it's not because I'm trolling or whatever, but it's true. I have two Thunder fans in my life. You're one of them, and my good friend Blake, and both of
I
y'all,
love
and other
Blake.
Thunder, huh?
Love Blake. He's my new best friend.
Yeah, both of y'all and other people as well have been telling me about how like, listen, it's okay, and even I have said it a few times. Like, you know what? They're not even good yet. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that the last 6 days, ever since like with Indiana winning Game 6 going into today, made me think like I don't want to hear any of that shit ever with any team because you got to realize every like even today, I if Halliburton doesn't get hurt, who knows? Maybe they would have won regardless. Who knows what would have happened? But just think, it took all of this for this team that we taught that before the finals we were talking about this historic team and they were a very good team. I don't know where we ranked them on a historic level after everything, but they were a really good team. But it took all of this. It took 7 games against a 4 seed in the opposite conference. Yes, they were amazing. And that team's best player to get hurt. And then for game 7 to find a way to navigate to win one championship. With how good the league is now, man, we can't. I just really heavily push back on just painting teams in Sharpie in the Final Four or the finals every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not
No,
hate to the take. It's just
you
like
got to hear
that
me
was the
out. But
thing
what
I
I'm
was gonna. But
my
I get what you're
reasoning,
saying. Like
my
with where
reasoning for
Houston's
it
at.
is you have 1 year of Kevin Durant mentoring Thompson, Tari
Oh yeah,
Eason, and Reed Shepard on how to become more pure scorers, along with their already super athleticness.
yes,
You have dudes on your bench. Literally, they barely played Reed Shepard this year. He's
yeah.
already
Cam
projected to
Whitmore.
be one of the best. Yeah,
Cam, what is Cam
you
Whitmore
know
gonna
my
pull the
feelings on
is
Cam Whitmore.
is Cam Whitmore gonna pull the splinters out of his ass next year for the Rockets?
Listen, I'm just saying I have such a love for Cam Whitmore because I went to a Nets Rockets game and the Nets were winning. And this was who was it? the D'Angelo Russell Nets like 2 years ago when it was like were finally like, okay, yeah, this is the rebuild, and we're just gonna sit with D'Angelo Russell as our only and Cam Thomas, and that's it. Like when Claxton was out, everyone was out, and they're beating the Rockets, and Whitmore hits a three, steals the inbound half a second later, and hits a fadeaway three and lands in my lap,
Oh my, yeah. There we go.
and they tied it. Send it to overtime. They sit Cam Whitmore. I'm pissed at Udoka because I'm like, this guy just hit 2 threes. Like, he at least deserves a start the overtime, like for a minute, right? Because you're playing the Nets. Like, this game is irrelevant. And what was it? Cam Whitmore comes in, they're down 5, hits the three, gets fouled, misses the free throw. Shangoon draws the foul on the going for the rebound, hits the first free throw, misses the second one, and then D'Angelo Russell hits the three to win the game.
Oh, that was that game? Oh my god, I remember
Yeah.
that game.
And then because Udoka sat Shangoon for the entire fourth quarter. And everyone was like, what the fuck are you doing? He is 18 and 9 in 3 quarters. Why are you sitting him? And he gets them to overtime and then loses them overtime.
They
I was also sitting next to Mr. Whammy, which was pretty cool. The Nets super fan dude, the old guy that does the finger things.
There you go. Listen. I shout out to the Nets. Hopefully Thursday goes well for them. Maybe you can go to some games that'll be relevant. How'd we get to talking about the Nets?
No, I don't want to do that. They'll get
That's a good
expensive
point.
then. We sat courtside for $100.
I don't know if you would have not came on here with me tonight if they would have lost, but
I would have. I'd just be crying and drunk.
I had it like in my mind on like it was just going to be very poignant of, you know, it wouldn't have been to the extent of making fun of LeBron's not 1, not 2, not 3 thing, but it would have definitely been a whole lot of, this is why you can't count your chickens before they hatch, because how hard it is to win just one. But they got one tonight. So
See, and
none
I
of
know
that matters.
you asked me yesterday if I was nervous, and I was. Dagnall has not lost a game 7 in his career as a coach. Like I said, like I get it. Halliburton started hot, and it got me a little nervous, but this is probably one of the most resilient teams I've seen. That's the thing, is this was 2 of the most resilient teams. So yeah, even if they would have went down 15, Halliburton would have went crazy again and tied it up. These are both 2 teams whose literally sole goal is stay alive until you can bounce back.
Even if Halliburton's not playing, like even with him being hurt, I really wish that third quarter would have been tighter to just see they had all the signs of, the moment is way more than we can handle. Like I had to watch Jalen Williams show his ass for 24 minutes of basketball, all while Doris Burke was sitting there screaming, "His wrist is hurting, man!" Like Doris Burke is Jalen Williams' agent. You know what I'm saying? Like that was just wild. And
Yeah, I hope to God like I never see her doing another
very
game,
bad.
like a playoff game, because obviously like I was pissed when they put Reggie Miller on the broadcast for Pacers Knicks, because I feel like my opinion on when it's like former professional players in the playoffs is you either need to have one guy from both teams or you need to have no one from either team. Like if you're gonna do Reggie Miller, you got to put Walt Frazier on the other side of that. You know
That's
what I
fair.
mean?
I can see why you're mad
Like
at that because I don't mind.
or
People don't like Reggie. I don't mind Reggie. Reggie's very corny.
I don't mind him as a broadcaster, but like I
When
said,
he's the
like
Pacers,
it's
yeah.
when it's the Pacers, he's shown it in the regular season, just like Grant Hill has shown it when the Pistons and the Magic play. There's a little bit of a bias because he played for
Well,
those
hey,
teams.
I mean,
and he loved
they had Van Gundy, Stan. I mean, his brother coached the Knicks or whatever.
Yeah, but
I
Stan
know.
never
I'm just
did.
saying. I'm grasping at the straws.
And but the first two rounds, Doris Burke looked like she was just trying to pander to get clicks on Twitter so she could get rehired
We
next year.
feel like, oh, we all feel you, Shea Gilgis Alexander. Like, God, she's the
Think
worst.
about how many times this series. I wish I could go back. I might do it. I might go back and rewatch every game with the commentary and look to how many times Richard Jefferson made a comment to lead her to actually talk about basketball, and she didn't.
God.
What was the she did it today? What was the play? Shea hit is in the first half. Shea hit like some crazy shot and got the and one on Nimhard. You know what I'm talking. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. And she started going at Shay's gonna get the call, but you gotta give the credit. It's like, yeah, Nimbard had a great effort,
Like,
but like your first thought on that play was he's
like during the
flopping.
conference final, she's calling him a foul. Like Doris Burke living on Twitter. Like, come on. Uh,
It's just
Things I realized also during the
I
NBA Finals: Richard Jefferson without JJ Redick as a co-steed color commentator, not good. Ugh.
no, but that's what I'm talking about. This is coming from a comms major. I learned this. They worked so well together because anytime they would lead each other into comments. They would lead. Richard Jefferson would talk about, oh, this is the grind in the playoffs, and JJ would be like, that's right. You have to sacrifice everything. You got to put your body on line every play. How many times did he lead Doris Burke, and then he had to say, "Oh, I'm talking to myself," and they laughed
Mhm.
it off.
Yeah, that there was at least once tonight I actually heard him say those exact words.
That's what I'm talking about. They talked about a play. He's like Doris. You know just as well as I do. When your point guard is dishing, everyone's eating, and she just blanked out.
Another thing that will be, oh, hold on. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Where are we at? Sorry, I'm looking at the box score. Another thing,
My phone about to die.
huh?
No, I'm on my phone. I didn't realize how much Restream like killed my phone
Another
battery
another
once.
thing lost to history tonight. Um Shea, 2 days after his worst game he's played in quite some time, with 8 turnovers, career high, had 1 turnover tonight. When was his turnover? I'm curious because he had none like in the till the fourth quarter. So I'm curious to see what.
I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna match you with a stat that just shows how good this team is. Only four players today had a negative plus minus. That was
None of them count. No, they're all bench guys. Those don't count.
Yep. It
That's
was it
crazy
was
though.
all players with less than 0 minutes. That outside of the only other player had
Did
below
I?
8 was Isaiah Hartenstein, and he only played 19 minutes.
Man,
New York is celebrating, man. I can hear it outside.
the
Listen,
Thunder.
New York just became Thunder fans. They didn't have to change. They didn't even have to change the colors, man.
Ear earbuds got disconnected. I think.
Why?
Oh, there we
Can
go.
you hear?
Yeah, it was
There we
your
go.
mic. It sounded weird.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, it's just
I just I just keep leaving this. I just keep leaving this like in my head. Like I just wish. I wish that game could have been close late because there were some things that I'm not saying Oklahoma City got let off the hook, but there are a few things that there are a few things that I wish I could go back and be like, hey, Mark Dagnall, why did you play Kenrich Williams? Like, why was your lineup in the end of the first quarter for the last 4 minutes? Like, J Dub, who was terrible, Caruso, Wallace, Kenrich Williams, and Shea. Like, why was that your five for the final few minutes of the first quarter? Um, that was bold, but he got
can
away with it.
can we just give Sam Presti the flowers he deserves from
Yeah, people would have.
going into a situation where he geniusly pulled off getting Paul George, And then Paul George saying, I don't want to be here no more. And he turned Paul George getting punked by Damian Lillard in a playoff game into Shea and Chris Paul, which led to this team right here that won a championship.
I just saw two being floated around on Twitter. The trade that the Thunder asked Toronto for with Paul George. I wish I could have remembered what it was for, because they offered Paul George to Toronto, and Toronto Toronto asked that for Paul George to keep Kawhi, and the Thunder said no. But they took the draft picks, Shea and wasn't Danilo Gallinari also on the deal? Shout out to him.
Shea and Danilo Gallinari and
then all the
like
trade,
six
all
of their picks. Yeah.
and then all the draft picks.
Let's not forget this team has next year. Like if Philly stinks it up again, which I don't think they will, but if Philly doesn't make a big run next year, like OKC already has 3 picks next year. They have 3 picks this year in the first round.
Yeah,
Like this is what I meant when I say like teams that are just like yeah, they like you said, we are
They're
not going
set
to see
up.
the same teams every year. They are literally set up to be a top 3 team in the West every single year because they're going to have they were smart enough to get J-Dub at 12 when he was projected to go 28th.
No, and this is the thing. Just because I say that you can't write that down in you can't write that down in permanent marker or whatever, doesn't mean it won't happen or it shouldn't happen. My point was like the point I would have been banging on if the Thunder would have lost tonight. The thing that I would have kept throwing out there was you can't sit here and say future, future, future when you were literally this close. And honestly, it might not be this. Not that this was easy, because the Pacers, as shitty as tonight is, as unfortunate as tonight was, at how it ended, like this Pacers team was obviously awesome. And even without him, without Halliburton, the Pacers fought their ass off. The Thunder had to continue to work. It was not this easy asterisk gifted title for Oklahoma City, but it was probably the easiest path that they will have, especially if San Antonio gets better. And I mean, who knows how the Wolves will get better, but Anthony Edwards is only 24 or whatever, Like the Lakers have Luka and LeBron. I don't know how good they'll be, but they still got Luka in the West. Like the West is loaded. That's what I'm getting at. Like this,
right?
You still got to go through the Nuggets every year, And that series this time went 7 when the Nuggets had a horrendous roster. Like it's just that was the point that I was going to continue to bang. Was like I don't want to hear about all the future stuff when you're here right now. Don't parse off this one and say, it's okay. They have next year, when it would have been like, man, like they absolutely fumbled it, but they won, so none of that matters now.
Think about this, like when you think of the Thunder, and this is just to counter your point. Do you know how many teams in the West they had a less than 500 record against, or a 500 or less record against?
Right, I get that. But here's the thing,
Dallas.
But the thing is, again, my whole point would have been, which none of it matters because they won. But my whole point would have been like, yeah, you could have, all of that's true, but then they could have got to the conference, or they could have been in the second round next year versus Houston, and oh shit, Shea blows his knee out. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, fuck. We were literally a game away from the title. It would have been nice to win that one. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Celtics right now are sitting there thinking, shit, this sucks, but at least we got the one last year. The Bucks, like, all of this stuff has been happening, but it's like, well, at least we had 2021. And the same with the Nuggets for a few years ago. So those were the things I were going to get at.
Yeah.
Are you going to throw your phone on the charger? I saw your message. Or are you going to tap out?
It's like sitting at like 4, but Restream's killing the battery.
Oh, even with it on the charger?
Yeah, like that's how much it's taken. I have a public apology to make to Mr. Sam Presti. I was your biggest critic when you drafted Chet. I was your biggest
he's been awesome. He was awesome tonight.
I was also your biggest critic when you drafted Derek Lively and then traded him for Kassan Wallace.
Oh yeah, I remember thinking at that.
And I remember
at the time
texting
too,
you that. I said that was fucking stupid
because they needed a big. And
because
I thought
they needed a
like
big that
Lively
could
was
fit at the
good,
4.
but yeah, Wallace is a really good
But
player.
I was like, why the fuck do we need a third point guard? Who else did I bitch about?
I hope you didn't
Oh,
bitch about the Caruso deal, which that would have been dumb.
no,
They fleeced the Bulls for that.
yeah. Well, I think that one is honestly a win-win because the Bulls can retool with a good facilitating point guard now. That's not going to cost a lot because he's under team control. I do think them giving Caruso like 28 million when he's about to turn by the end of his deal is going to look really bad. But
You think they're going to give him $28 million a year?
dude, have you seen what his contract is?
Oh no, I didn't know he was locked up.
Yeah, he got a 4-year extension like 1 week into the season.
Oh Jesus! So they're
Caruso is 31. They will
so
be when he turns 35, they will be paying him $22 million a year.
so does that mean Dort's about to get, or does that mean Dort's about to walk?
No, I think so. Here's the thing. Um, Dort has he's got a team option for 26, 27. So they'll easily have him for 2 more years. But I think they're going to try to extend him before that because here's the big thing. If they give him the team option, Chet, Say, Hartenstein, Dort, and Kassan Wallace will all be off contract in the same season if they don't give them extensions early.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
the big thing.
a friend of mine was trying to say one of the two others in the big three that isn't Shea will get dealt, and I'm like, no, they're going to keep. No. You find ways to keep them together forever, and then
Well, I think that's also the good thing with Caruso's that's the bad thing with Caruso's contract, honestly, because they gave so much money to Hartenstein. Caruso's deal is backloaded.
mm.
So, but looking at it now, there's only 50 million on the books right now for those years, and then you take in your draft picks, you're looking at maybe like 80 million, and I'm sure you could find a way to like at the
Well, here's
very
the
least.
thing.
I think at this point you're a team where you're just going to be like, you know what, fuck it, super luxury tax.
Yeah, super luxury tax. Plus, all the draft picks you own means you can cycle guys if you feel you need to. And with
And you
all
can also
you are
trade those guys for
you
more
already
picks. And
you already own the draft picks, so you don't have to trade for picks, which is what the aprons make you like cost you, you know. So, which I think that's an underrated. I'm interested in how much of that played into the Suns not being able to trade. I guess never mind. That's nothing with them receiving picks. So I'm an idiot. Never mind. But like that so like they don't have to worry about like they are set up. I know I was gonna have the rant, but like they're set up and whatnot. It's just again, all that rant would have been for, which I know we weren't talking about it, but all of that would have been brought up for if they had lost, because it would have been a massive missed opportunity. And I don't think people. My biggest thing coming into tonight was I don't think people were saying that enough about how much of a missed opportunity this would have been.
wow, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the mock draft, and Houston Phoenix's pick is a little interesting to me for in the Houston spot.
And they had picked 10 now, right?
Carter Bryant is what they're projected to get.
Oh God, I don't even know. It's after like it's such a crapshoot right now. Who are they projected to get?
Carter Bryant,
Oh, Carter Bryant. Oh,
the kid out of Arizona.
the Arizona kid. Ugh, I don't like that.
And then your boy Kasparis is going 11th to Portland.
Yeah, that's dumb. Carter
Well, all
Bryant's
right, let
not a
me ask
top
you
10 draft
this.
pick.
If he drops to 12 somehow, how hyped would you be if he goes to the Bulls?
Yakuchonis?
Mm-hmm. Stay in Illinois.
I mean, it'd be cool, but that just seems redundant with what they've got.
The Thunder projected to
He'd
get
be, he'd be, he
Murray
would,
Boyles.
he'd be fantastic on Phoenix. He's exactly what the Suns need.
Yeah, I
Like
that's
the fact
my
that the
thought is
Suns would
like,
just pass him. If he actually fell to 10 and the Suns passed on him, that would be. I think so like Illinois got 2 lottery guys. I know we're going to talk draft. I think we're still planning on doing the show tomorrow.
Yeah,
Hopefully, if nothing bad happens on my end, fingers
depends
crossed.
on how depressed you are.
No, I just got some. I'm gonna be more busy than I thought I was. So who knows? We'll see what happens. But uh, if I don't know what Will Riley's first year as a rookie will be, but I think Yakuchonis is definitely going to be able to play as a rookie. And
Well,
if
they
the
have
Sun,
him going to Brooklyn.
if this Will Riley pick
They
8
have
to
him at
Brooklyn,
no at 19.
okay, maybe
They
if
got
the Nets suck
Malawak at
again,
8.
then he could definitely see the floor. I just think he's raw. I really wish Will Riley would have came back for another year. I really do. He would have been like a player of the year contender. I understand it. I get it why he left, but it is
You
what
got
it
to
is.
get it while you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Different story, different conversation for a different day.
Just side note, do
Okay.
you want to guess who the Magic are projected to get
Well, wait. What pick do they have
with the
now?
25th?
Oh God, I don't even
I
know
would be
who.
shocked if you actually guess this. It's someone that played Pac-12 this year
Pac-12.
or independent, I guess.
So he played
No,
for.
no, no. I'm lying. ACC.
So he played for Stanford.
Yeah, I gave it away. Probably.
Yeah. Um, I was gonna say they don't have that Washington State kid going to because that would be cool. He's really good. Coward or whatever his name is.
Yeah, they got
But he's gonna go
Raynaud.
lottery. He's gonna go in the lottery.
Yeah, the 4 projected players they're looking at, or it's projected to look at, is Nike Clifford from Colorado State.
Oh, Neat Clifford, he's good.
Yeah, Nolan Traore, which
He's
I
the
guess would fill the. That's
he's
the
the
French kid. Yeah,
he's the French guard, right?
yeah, and Rasheer Fleming.
Yeah, I'd take Traore. He's good. All right. Since your
He'd
phone's on the
fill that
brush,
role that you lost with Cole Anthony.
yeah, which is what they need. They need to fill that role, and they need to get another big who can
Well, I
stretch the
think at
floor.
this point you got to put if you drafted Anthony Black, you got to play him like that.
No, that's true. If Anthony Black takes a leap, that would be massive for them.
I think that's why they were probably so willing to let Cole Anthony go was you're gonna put enough trust that Anthony Black's gonna make that jump, which he looked like he was.
Yeah, he was a little just inconsistent at times, but then again, all of their
He's
offensive
what,
things
second
were.
year player, rookie?
Yeah. So, all right, 2 last things. We'll start with this for the East, and then we'll cap it off with an Oklahoma City Thunder moment. Now that the East has been nuked once again, sadly, right now going into the offseason rankings for Eastern Conference teams go as of June
1 through
23rd.
15.
You don't have to do that. Just do top 5. Top 6. Non-playing teams you would expect right now to be before any roster moves happen, teams you expect to be non-playing teams in the East.
Based on how
Right
I
now.
think they're gonna move and everything.
Just as of right now, before anything else happens.
I'm gonna go Cleveland at 1 again because they're a regular season monster.
I agree. That's probably a safe pick.
I will say I'm still gonna say Boston at 2 because if they don't blow it up, that team is still super deep. And obviously Tatum, they lose a lot, but
That's bold. I was going to have them closer to 6 because
mm-mm.
I think they're about to. I think Drew Holiday's definitely going to be gone.
But that's what
here
I'm
in the next
saying.
few days.
That's if they're not blowing it up.
Okay.
If I'm looking at what I'm thinking they're going to do in this offseason, I'm having them at 6. But if you're saying right now, with the roster that's going
I
to be
guess.
out,
Okay. Let me
if they
tweak.
can, if they, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I guess a little bit of a
think what I
combination.
think they're going to look like starting next year.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Cleveland because they have everyone under control. I'm going to say New York because they have everyone under control, and they're getting this kid from Real Madrid that they drafted 2 years ago. He's 7 foot, 240 with 2% body fat. He is scary big. I will send you his highlight reel. This dude looks like Malawak on crack.
Okay.
Or I guess on steroids would be a better way to put it. 3. I'll
Because
say
I'm with you right now on those two.
okay. You know what? I'll say Orlando at 3. Honestly, I think that Bame is going to be a big jump up.
I would also go Orlando at 3, and but it's nip and tuck between them and the team I have at 4.
4, I have Indy.
I do not have Indy. I
Who you have at
have
4?
Detroit basketball, baby.
Yeah.
I think Cade's going to be awesome, and I think that team's going to be really good.
I'll
Especially if Ivy can come back at the beginning of the year. I think the
I
experience that they
think
had this year.
you wanna know my hottest wildest take with the Pistons this year.
Okay, I'm for it.
Hey, I don't think this is gonna happen, but if it does,
It's
I
one of
think
those
we
I wouldn't be
see
shocked if it did kind of situations.
I think we see Ivy, Sasser, and a couple draft picks, and maybe Isaiah Stewart or Jalen Duren floated to
4?
Milwaukee for Giannis.
Oh, I would love it. I'm sad that Detroit wasn't in the Durant sweepstakes.
I have them at my 5 just because the bigs worry me because I say Isaiah Stewart can't stay healthy or can't stay unsuspended,
Ha! Yeah,
and
that's a fair point.
Jalen Duren is either the next coming of Andre Drummond or is fouling out in 6 minutes.
That's another good point. Yeah.
And at a
Good point.
certain point, when you have Tobias Harris playing the 5, it gets a little worrisome to me. Also, I felt it was weird they traded for Fontecchio and then just didn't play him this year. Like
Yeah, no kidding.
they gave up like a draft pick to get this guy to be like their 3-and-D wing guy off the bench, and they played him. He averaged 3 minutes a game.
That's fair. No, I agree with
Also,
you.
I hope we see my boy Ryan Terrell. Shout out D3 Yeshiva University. Ryan Terrell, who put up 28 points a game in Division 3 for his career.
I have Detroit at 5. I have or Detroit at 4. I have I'm trying to think.
I got a shocker for 6.
I have Atlanta at 5.
I think Atlanta is just born to be a 7 seed.
But 5 and 6 for me is like Atlanta and Boston, because I think Boston will be like in that realm. Atlanta, if they can stay healthy.
I think if Atlanta replaces Capella with a younger version of Capella,
You mean the guy they already have?
no, like to be his backup.
Okay, so 2 versions of that.
I think Andre Drummond would be a great fit in Atlanta. Who else for Trae Young's ice cold shot blocking or shot chucking than the guy who could grab 20 rebounds off the bench?
That's not a terrible take.
Um,
I really want to
but
see them
that's
next
my
year with
thing is
Jalen Johnson
Jalen.
rocking.
I don't know how I feel how Reese Shea is gonna develop in year 2.
He's good, man.
And I really like Karis LeVert off the bench if they keep him.
Mhm.
But also Jalen Johnson is not. I don't know if he's going to start the season
That's true.
coming off
That's the
the
thing that worries
injury,
me.
and
That's what worries me.
that's an injury that you see players like their career goes downhill from there. And
Because they had
obviously, yeah,
they had a true line of demarcation last year. Was they made what didn't they make Vegas last year in the in season tournament? They made the Final
they
Four.
made the
And they
yeah.
were a top 5 seed, and then Jalen Johnson got hurt, and the season died. Like that
And
is the clear line
the
of
big thing,
demarcation.
the big thing to me is when the Knicks called to ask about Snyder and they immediately hung up. It didn't say like, "Oh, fuck you, New York." It was, "We know where we're at and where we're at in our future to know like this is what we need for the next 2 years is this core."
Yeah,
But I still think they're a year away because their free agent signings haven't been the best. Their
no,
contract situations haven't been the best.
that's fair.
And I mean, if your backup point guard is Kobe Buffkin, it's kind of a worry.
Don't
Um,
disagree. Listen, it was a left field. It was either them or I just
I have
copium. It was
you're
that. It was either that
I'm
or I
curious.
copium Listen, so I had them in fault. By real quick before I let you get to your 6, it was between them. So I have them in Boston in that spot because I think Boston will be like between the 5 seed and the 7 seed. They're not going to die unless they traded like Jaylen Brown, which I don't think is going to happen. I think that would be stupid. I think that it was either between them or like me hopping on the copium trail that my guy Joel Embiid is going to get his life together and the Sixers are going to be there, which I just can't. I don't want to put myself through that amount of pain. I get invested, and then my guys let me down. Tyrese Halliburton, he
I
didn't let me
saw
down, but he got hurt, and now I'm sad. So
I saw on
I
Twitter.
don't want to put myself through that level of emotional distress.
I saw on Twitter today someone put the Embiid crying meme and it said Embiid watching another team trust the process in 6 years.
Hey man,
So
listen, man.
obviously, I think Philly's up there, but obviously, there's a lot in the air involving Paul George. There's a lot in the air involving Embiid and McCain, and especially what they're going to do with this draft pick. Because if you really are in a like, fuck it, let's go get a superstar for a year or two and replace Paul George. Like, this is the draft pick to do it. But it's
Yeah,
also the draft pick. You could say, okay, we could go get a 3, and when Embiid's contract's up, we could just say, okay, you're not worth the stress, and we could run a new big 3 that's already slightly developed, and then just fill the gap.
like
I leave
pick
them off my
3.
list.
Like pick 3 and the Paul George contract for Laurie Markkinen. Sign me up.
That's what I was gonna say.
The
I
Jazz just probably
legit,
wouldn't do that.
I think that and Sexton.
Yeah, it just the Jazz
Um,
wouldn't do that. I don't think.
no, because Danny Ainge loves draft picks more than he loves his children.
I think they're gonna finally try to be. I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but I
I,
think they're gonna try
I
because I
wouldn't
think
say aggressive, but I think I think they're a year away from being a play-in team, and I
yeah
think
I
they're
think
a year away after that from them saying, "Hey, we have picks. Give us your stars you want to get rid of."
yeah I think Danny Ainge this offseason after they sucked and then they got the 6th pick or 5th pick or whatever. I think I think Danny Ainge this offseason is going to be like, yeah, I'm tired. Enough of this losing shit. Let's try to figure life out. All right, who's your
To be
surprise?
fair,
You're going to be lame and you're going to be lame and be a homer and say the Nets, aren't you?
no, I'm not. I'm gonna say Toronto.
Okay, I was going to say, is it Toronto? I don't know, man.
Their 5-man lineup, it looks amazing.
They ended the year good, I guess.
Their 5-man lineup going into next year is Quickly, RJ, Ingram, Scotty, Jakob Pertl.
It's a whole lot of not being able to. It's a whole lot of mid-range jump shots.
It's a lot of isolation, but this coach loves isolation play. Um, I got a fun one for you. This is going to be my hot take of the year.
I'm not saying
Wizards.
I'm not saying I would book your. I'm not saying I would book your Toronto Raptors to make the playoffs bet right now. I'm just saying I don't think it would happen. But I
I
appreciate you
I
going on a
think they
limb.
at least make the play in, but I think the way if you look at where but what I'm basing all this off of mainly is we know exactly what they have going in this year. The only thing they're missing is a couple role players off the bench.
Right.
And they have 5 guys who have been in the league long enough that know what needs to get done. I'm not saying they're going to be shocking worlds and we're going to see them in past the second round, but I think their ceiling is the 6th seed.
I think that's a fair take.
And then
Not one
I
that
have
I
a hot
necessarily
take for
agree
you.
with, but a fair take. Go ahead.
The Wizards make the play in.
I don't want to say you're wrong because I think
All right,
they're actually doing it right. I
hear
really
me.
felt bad for them. I felt bad for them more than almost anybody that the lottery kind of screwed them because I thought like I was really impressed with Jordan Poole's like bounce back. I thought he actually played good and
Charlotte.
Sar kind of came alive. Like he was way better than I could have ever imagined. They got rid of the nightmare that is Kyle Kuzma. Koulibaly is good. Kispert's like a. I want Corey Kispert to be on a team that plays like meaningful basketball. Like, oh my God, Corey Kispert, if you were in Orlando Magic,
Corey
I would
Kispert in
cry.
a playoff game would like feed families.
I like if Corey Kispert was on the Magic, I'd cry. I'd buy a jersey. I'd wear a headband. I'd
So
do all of it.
this you'd grow hair.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is where I'm at with them. This is how I'm looking at their roster for next year. I think they are going to be able to trade Marcus Smart. I think someone who got torched by either Indy or OKC is going to be desperate enough to say, you know what, we'll give you we'll give you 2 second rounders.
They're going to be like,
There's
let us take the
there
risk on this thing that has not been a thing for
some
3
team
years.
that has a little bit of like cap space is just going to say, you know what, we'll give you 2 second rounders for this guy who, even though he hasn't played in a while, is just a demon on defense.
Like the Bucks. The Bucks are going to talk themselves into it.
Yeah. Which, funny enough, a memory came up on my Facebook today with a photo of Doc Rivers with in the media day photo with Magic, and then him with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, and said Doc Rivers is a terrorist. And now that I'm looking at this Bucks team, I can agree with it finally.
Yeah, though I mean it's not all his fault, but they're not good. Okay.
So I will say that this is my reasoning for them real quick before we head to the West. Your starting lineup right now is Jordan Poole, Bub Carrington, Koulibaly, and then you're either gonna go you're either gonna run Sarr at the 4, or you're going to move Koulibaly to the 4, run Sarr at the 5, and put Keontae George at the 3. You also have Champagny, who's been absolutely amazing for you. You have 6, 7 guys who that was their first year together, and unfortunately, being on the East Coast, the Wizards always play the 6-10 game. So I had to watch the Wizards a lot this year because I went to bed at like 8 p.m. because I had to get up for work at 4 a.m. and I wanted to watch some kind of hoops. It wasn't ethical hoops.
You're just out here watching
hoops.
The early East Coast slate on League Pass, bro. It's for real ones.
Do you know
it's
what
for
it's
the
like
truest
to go
of true
do
people.
do you know what it's like to go to sleep and the game is playing on your TV is Washington versus Utah, and there's 17 people in the crowd and you can hear them go, "Yay!"
Listen,
when they score a bucket.
I don't know where you tier them, but like the truest of true league passers, and you and I are in them separately because you're the first slate East Coaster. I'm the last slate West Coaster for League Pass. Like I'm out here watching bro. Do you know how many, like a couple of years ago at this is the same year I'm covering a state championship team, and like late nights I'm out here watching the freaking De'Aaron Fox Sacramento Kings, who are a 3 seed on the West Coast on League Pass. Like that shit fed me, bro. That shit kept me alive. Like I get it. I totally get it.
Dude, do you know how fun it was coming home from work when I was working 3 p.m. to 11? And then I'd look at my bets and I'd be like, oh, okay, that game I bet on at 10 o'clock's in the fourth quarter. And all I could catch the last 5 minutes of action. No, when I had NBA League Pass before we just started pirating everything because I was not paying to get blacked out all the time because I'm forced to watch the Knicks every game. The next day I would go watch you know how you could set on your computer the rewatch and you could set every bucket, right? I would set that and it would be 30-minute episodes. I would sit there and watch all 15 games. I would sit there for I would literally sit there. I would line them all up in a queue and I would do what I needed in the house and just have hoops running 24/7.
Just letting it rip.
I got my fiance watching basketball documentaries when Love Island is on. I've got everything in my life is hoops.
Is she a Love Islander? We have not Love Island. Is it worth it?
I have no clue. It just looks like I don't know. I don't know if I want to watch it. You know what? We're gonna have to do a live stream
to live Love Island
show. Yeah, our girls aren't even watching. It's just us two.
Honestly, that'd be fun. I'm here for it. Okay.
After Card Subject to Change, get the Love Island talk every Sunday.
Okay. Well, I wasn't wanting to do that. I wanted to give you a chance to walk us off with an Oklahoma City Thunder thought. But I want to say this before we get there. This was the most fun NBA playoffs. I know I wasn't on here as much, but this was the most fun I had watching the NBA playoffs from start to finish in quite some time. Every series pretty much at some point had memorable moments. I don't think there was what was the worst series in the playoffs? You know?
Memphis,
and even
Oklahoma
that series
City.
had even that series had the hilarious 50-point game 1 and Oklahoma City coming back from down 30. Like I remember getting home from doing the draft show And it's like, oh, the Thunder are down 6 in the fourth quarter. They were down 30 at one point in the second half.
No, I will say there was a bad series. It
Oh
was
yeah, that
Cleveland
series was
Miami
dog shit, and I didn't watch a single second of it.
because it was just like, okay, you made it in.
Congratulations! Yeah, that
Congrats.
series
Like
was abysmal.
it's the it's the Southland, or not the Southland, like a SWAC college getting UNC in the first round. It was like UNC Wilmington or Wagner with their 6 eligible
Yes.
players on their roster
Yeah.
getting UNC and getting torched by
Yes.
70.
Absolutely. Oh man,
To the point Armando Bacot was
guys,
apologizing
we
after the
don't
game.
mean to do this, but listen, look out below. Yeah.
Who's gonna beat
Yep.
us?
Look, almost every series was amazing. And I want to thank the Pacers personally for being just an absolute joy to watch. Started a little slow, but from game 5 onward of that Milwaukee series, I'll always remember that being on in the background thinking, man, the Pacers kind of blew a chance here to clinch out this Milwaukee team. Gary Trent's going nuts in overtime, and then all of a sudden the wheels fall off for the Bucks. And who would have thought that it would have started maybe the greatest playoff run we've ever seen from a singular player when it come to being clutch. The Cavs series was crazy. The Knicks game 1, I'll never forget that. I'm watching that while I'm helping somebody move, and I'm watching Halliburton just become Reggie Miller 2.0. And then game 1 of the finals in this.
Do you know how? Side note: do you know how quiet this city got?
I could
after
imagine that was not good.
It was quieter than 9/11, bro. Like
Oh man, sir, you lost. The Halliburton has taken out the second tower. No,
fun fact. Someone, before you finish your thought, someone brought this up on Twitter. Because someone had tweeted, Donald Trump has confirmed the Taliban has been
yeah,
assassinated.
Shasis won.
And someone said, we call him the Taliban, and he was assassinated on a Sunday night at the same time as Sunday Night Baseball, which was the Mets and
Oh,
Phillies in 2014 when Bin Laden was. And then someone said, who's playing Sunday Night Baseball right now
yeah.
in Philadelphia?
But there was also a WWE pay per view that night where John Cena at the end of it got on and he was like, "We have to cast and whatever Osama bin Laden," and the building goes crazy. It was wild. I say all that to say this was the most fun I had watching the NBA playoffs in a long time. It was an amazing 2.5 months. It just absolutely sucks that we don't get these often. This was literally the 20th time ever that this is the first one in almost a decade where we got a game 7 in the finals, and for it to kind of just turn into a depressing thing in like less than 20 minutes really sucked. The game was overall entertaining, considering for about a half hour there we thought the Pacers were about to pull off the greatest upset ever. They did not. The Thunder are well-deserving champions, and I wanted to give you, as the Thunder fan, the floor here to finish this off. The most memorable thing about this season as a Thunder fan. Go ahead.
So I became a Thunder fan in 2010 when I remember I was not allowed to watch like Family Guy, and I had to. My dad woke up at night, and I had to switch to something so I didn't get in trouble. And it was a basketball game, and he made me sit there and watch it with him because he thought I was bullshitting him. And it was the game where Kevin Durant hit that 40-foot turnaround jumper on Zach Randolph. And that got me hooked on Thunder basketball. I knew nothing about the NBA, and in less than a year, I was wearing a Royal Ivy jersey. Um, Shout out Royal Ivy and Eric Maynor, my two favorite players. Uh, I In the 10 to 15-year period, I've been a diehard Thunder fan. I witnessed Steph Curry destroy a dynasty and have a team fight, and then the next year have this team be one of the best in basketball with one of the arguably greatest seasons in NBA history. I then saw Damian Lillard destroy a potential dynasty and saw my favorite player get traded and then have to deal with the realization that we were going to rebuild, only to see that team the next year be a 5 seed in the COVID bubble. And then to see most of those players go and see the first year of our actual rebuild. And even in that year, they were still one of the better teams, not just prospect wise, but I guess in general, the last 3 months, they looked like one of the best teams in the league. Presti preached patience and resilience, which is something that the Thunder fans have kind of praised the team for. And I think this is the one thing this year that I could sum up this team is resilience. Uh, they started off on one of the best runs ever. The the first couple games they lost, it looked like okay, this is where they start falling down, and then they somehow got better. Their number 2 pick in the draft from 3 years ago breaks his hip and is out for half the season. He comes back looking like a dog. This team has gotten every time they've gotten punched in the face, the next game they've gotten right back and torched the team they played. And I think that even to the point of, Cleveland broke their winning streak, and then when they played Cleveland the next week in Cleveland, they won by like 37. This has been one of the most fun seasons to watch as a Thunder fan, not just because the first time I saw Shea play, I knew he was going to be an MVP level player, and I got to finally see it. But I got to see I got to see this team play live in New York and in Brooklyn. I got to see uh, my favorite team win a championship for the first time in their history, and uh, I got to brag to all my Knicks friends that my team is better than their team and they can suck it. So, and as a Braves fan and a Panthers fan, I needed this one more than God even knows.
Well, I mean, they can never take 2020. What was that? 2021 away from you.
Yeah, but we sold our soul
That
and
is
now we
true.
suck.
That is true.
And the Panthers lost all will to live when Cam Newton forgot to that he was a football player and he was supposed to
Hey,
jump on
man,
fumbles.
Bryce Young. You guys lost the Bryce Young trade, but Bryce Young's great,
I'm-
and I love Bryce Young.
Yeah, I just want to point out again, after you made that comment last year about losing the trade, you guys lost like 10 in a row.
Hey,
But
at least I was factually correct. Um, uh, very unfortunate. Not in the fact that because the Thunder won, just the way the vibes were. Unfortunate end to what was a pretty awesome NBA season. We will be back tomorrow. I'm very happy for the Thunder and very happy for their fans. I adored watching this team all season. I was really the Pacers. I guess I was so behind Indiana winning the title because it would have just been something we don't normally see, and I think that would have
no,
been cool. But the fact that we got up until even with tonight, the game was pretty entertaining until there were a few moments in the second half. It was more sad than anything, but the game was still very tight and close and like contested. Um, this is one of the best finals of the last 25 years in this century. Not many finals are ahead of this. I'd argue none of them are really. Maybe
I'd put the 3-1
I
over
would
this
argue
one, to be honest.
2013. That's about it. 2016. Here's the thing. Game 7 is maybe one of the 5 greatest games of all time. That series sucked. All those games were blowouts. Now, there's a lot of memorable moments in it after the 3-1 comeback started. Like LeBron in Game 6 was incredible. LeBron and Kyrie dueling banjoing, going for 41 each in Game 5 was wild. Game 4 to have the Warriors win the way they did, like kind of seize the moment, was nice. Curry had a great game, and then Game 7 was an all-timer. It's just there were a lot of one-sided scores. 2013 was very good and competitive. And Game 6 and 7 were both great. This series had just so many ups and downs and so many swings. So yeah, I that's my take. But all 3 of those are in there. And my most underrated finals ever is 2021 Bucks Suns. That series was great. Oh man.
It was also the downfall of Devin Booker, which I loved. his little, I'm cocky now. I made the finals, and then getting
Yeah.
punked.
Look, man, I love the NBA. I love the NBA Finals because of the different types of historical things that it could have. And this was the first finals in years that actually felt like the finals. Shout out to your phone for staying alive. We'll be back hopefully tomorrow to do a bit of an NBA draft preview. We got a lot of cool content things. Maybe we'll announce some stuff tomorrow to the people about what we're going to be doing. Maybe, teaser,
Yeah.
little teaser.
Shout out, shout out to me for my futures going crazy this year. Thunder winning the finals. I had the Peyton Pritchard 6-man one. We got it plus 3,000. The Sixers to miss the playoffs that I put $10 on out of sheer
Ah,
pettiness.
that's great. That's great. I just need to start tailing you, honestly. That's how I'm going to pay for my wedding. So I'm going to tail all your bets for.
Yeah. Give her the wedding of her dreams and just be like, listen, that guy I'm doing shows with every week.
We're cooking,
fucking
baby. We're
good.
cooking.
Jordan told me he paid his car payment
Hey,
off me
man,
one time.
sometimes you got to let it rip. All right. Well, this was fun. It could have been way better, but unfortunately,
Hey, a W is a
for
W
you,
in my
yes.
book.
For some of us, we're going to be heartbroken. But it is what it is. Congrats to the Thunder. Congrats to Thunder fans. We will be back tomorrow. GG's. Bid us adieu, my friend.
And you guys can always find me at Gotham Gambling, Joe at Joe the Show Winkle on Twitter. Make sure you guys follow us on For Frequency's Sake. Sign up for the Toys for Tots Fantasy League draft and see if you can beat me in fantasy.
Those are the things. Those are all the things that I would not have been able to say because I would have forgotten. I'm gonna have to get better at that. For Danny, I'm Joe. Again, Gotham Gambling stuff. Tomorrow will be like maybe it'll probably be his live stream tomorrow. I don't know, but we're gonna be doing a draft show at some point, hopefully. Who knows what time we'll rip it off, but we'll be rolling. Until then, and again, we got a lot of great stuff we're going to be doing over the summer and then heading into football. So we got some great content we're going to be pushing out. Shout out to you, Danny, because if not for you, I don't know if I would have had the energy to do this because I was a pretty sad panda. But this was fun and much needed. Thanks to everybody who hung out with us. This has been the Educated Ignorance Podcast. If you ain't got your game, you best pass the sticks. For my boy from Gotham Gambling. For me, from the Educated Ignorance Podcast. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We are out. Peace. Thunder up, etc.